got seersuckers. So I went, no. So anyway, I wasn't talking to you at that time, this was Doug. And I said, okay, look, I'm going to do seersucker, I'll do it in the dress run, because we used to judge it by the crew. So I did seersucker in the dress run, it was like this. So I looked at Doug and went, and then, how do I do that? So I did, and on the night I did Deader Than Tank Tops. Boom! It wasn't my gag, it was just the fact that I said, I think that's, and I think you'll get that. But it's not that I'm smarter than them, it's just that, well, by then the character's in my bones and I'm thinking, so, and then after I did the joke in front of the audience and they laughed, you know who I was looking for, didn't you? Where's Doug? And then I went like that, and then Doug went. That's a true story.
Yeah.
But it's not my gag, I just thought it was the better version.
No, and if you guys, felt uncomfortable with the gag or felt it wasn't quite right, we'd listen.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, that's what was different about Red Dwarf. Normally the writer isn't there to change it.
Yeah, and
to talk to him about
that
it.
was a great innovation by Paul Jackson in allowing us to be there all the time.
Most producers don't want them there.
No, and it's stupid because in America, the writers run the bloody show.
Yeah. And that was what was different about Red Dwarf, that we had that luxury that you could turn to the writer who wrote it, the horse's mouth, and say, look, what about this? What about you? You don't get that in any shows.
I can't see how you can do comedy without that kind of interaction.
And so it was a learning curve for us. I knew now after Red Dwarf how you can get great comedy. And then you'd go on another show, of course, which is not done like Red Dwarf, and it's murder trying to get into that groove, because they're not as pliable, they're not as acceptive and receptive of anything. It's just like, this is done, we've done it. Where if you ask Chris Berry about British Empire, it's the total opposite. There is no jiggling, there's no talking. It's starting, we're going to be finished by 4:30, that's it. Chris told the story.
I believe him. I like that show though. I thought
it was good. Yeah.
But yeah, everyone has supposed to.
It's different. It's just filmed different.
Yeah.
You'd probably have a nightmare filming it because you want to get in there, right?
Yeah.
No, Bobby, no, don't do it, no.
Listen, I really think.
Do you know what I did? No, Bobby.
But I heard that you actually had to become producers, so that people around the set would actually start, hearing what you guys were asking them to do. How did that happen?
Yeah, well, we used to go around to the various departments like makeup and hair and props and things, and say, no, that's not going to work like that. You need to do it like this. And we'd go, oh, all right. And who says that? The writers. And just ignore you. So we finally worked out that we had to become producers if we wanted, just to get listened to. And I don't like doing a producer thing. That's not what I enjoy. But you've got to get your vision on screen. You just have to.
Well, even all the actors are doing it now in America. They're all executive producing the shows that they're in because more actors want to, more saying how they have been, like writers, how they, with their experience, would like to sort of say, well, it works better for me like this, or my character. You can have the conversation then at least.
Yeah.
Okay, that was my last attempt to ask you a question. And we've got some audience questions here as well. There is a question. I would like to thank you for Red Dwarf, and I would like to hear a story about the movie that never got made, and if you think that crowdfunding might be a good way how to get funding from fans, and this way do any new Red Dwarf shows.
I had nothing to do with
that. Would definitely be a Rob question, because if you ask any actor, they'd say movie. Of course, the answer is yes from our point of view. That's easier said than done. Because if I remember rightly, the first time I ever heard about a movie being made, we were traveling in a SUV in America at a convention, and I think something like HBO had been in touch about a potential idea for a movie, a conversation that you told me. That was the first time I ever heard of it.
Oh, right.
So that must have been very early on.
When we were first trying to sell Red Dwarf, as I say, it took 3 years.
Mm.
And a lot of beating people up to finally get it on. But a lot of people were more interested in turning it into a movie. Channel 4 wanted to do it as a movie.
Right.
And these American people wanted to do it as a movie. And this American guy came over and this was after the series was on, but he wanted to do it as a movie in America. And he took us out to lunch, me and Doug. And he seemed very keen, and as the starters arrived, he said, "Look, I love the project, I absolutely love it, but I'm really, really worried about one of the characters being dead. He doesn't always have to be dead, does he?" And we said, "It's kind of a permanent affliction, but we'll think it over." And then the main course arrived and he said, "The other thing that bothers me is this cat character. I don't think people are going to understand how a cat can turn into a human." And so we thought, oh, well, this is not going anywhere. We'll just eat our dinner and order some expensive puddings. And as the puddings arrived, he said, just one last thing. He said, "I swear to God, this is a true story. Does it have to be set on a spaceship?" True story.
We heard that story very early on as well. I mean, it was just like, my goodness, you know, the state.
What did you like about the show?
Why did he come to lunch?
Well, I don't know.
Why would you go to lunch? It's just a point of love. You know why? Look, we'll just buy them lunch. Yeah.
They're English, they'll just do it.
They'll just eat it and be happy. But, you know, that's what you're up against, literally. That is what you're up against.
Yeah, but when you do crowdfunding, you collect money from fans,
yes,
and then you can do whatever you want.
Yes.
So
it's true that, you know, some people have done stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And I've heard about like a Red Dwarf Titan. I'm not sure up till now if that was a joke or if that's something that we are really trying to develop.
No, we reached an agreement about the Red Dwarf rights a couple of years ago. Just gone a couple of years.
It's quick, isn't it?
Yeah. And I got the rights to the prequel. And Titan is genuinely the prequel to Red Dwarf, set before the beginning of the show.
Wow.
The young Lister and Rimmer at shore leave on Titan before the accident, where Lister's trying to steal the cat to bring back. And there are a series of things, but the cat is resurrected through some genetic tomfoolery. And there's a young Crichton as well, so that is the first time I've said this is about to be released as a novel. Red Dwarf Titan. I don't know, we haven't got a publication date yet, but it is happening, and really excited. You'll get a part now.
From Ganymede to Titan, yes sir, I've been around. It's in the show.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay. There's another
Because
question.
wasn't the Hilton on Titan?
Titan Hilton, yeah.
Titan Hilton.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He actually had a towel, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Lister had a towel from Titan. You know, you always steal a towel from the Hilton, right? I'm telling you this, everything is, there's the towel from Titan Hilton. That's how deep they are.
Another question, which is your favorite episode?
Wow. That's the biggest question, isn't it? Well, I know, for me...
I think it's Back to Reality with Dwayne Dindley.
Of course it is. But it's easy for me to say that, but I think the other guys had just as much fantastic time playing their alter ego style.
Yeah.
Because that was the hardest scene to keep a straight face in I've ever been in. That opening of that scene with Tim Spall, and when those things, and we came up like that, and when we stood up, and I looked down the line at the state of those guys, I was just burning to laugh. We were all literally, you could see tears literally coming down our eyes, trying not to laugh at each other. When Rimmer came out with that electric afro, I was losing it.
Here's the interesting thing about that scene. The first time we shot it, the audience didn't laugh.
Once,
not once.
Tim didn't really nail it.
And I was directing, and I turned round to Doug and said, "The mic's on?
What's going on?"
And he said, "They're in shock. Run the scene again, and it will go fine." And he was right.
It's true.
That scene,
the first scene, we thought, "My God, we flopped." You know, wow. We knew
how
this
could
was
you
funny.
not laugh?
No, but we knew it was funny. We knew it was funny. We just didn't know. You know, like you think, is there someone behind, you know, naked somewhere or something? Because are they seeing us? Like, I'm looking down the line thinking, this is the funniest thing I've seen, and it was.
When we first handed the script in to Paul Jackson, it was the first one we submitted for the sixth series. He said, "I thought, you bastards, you've gone and changed the entire premise of the show without even consulting."
He thought
it was going to be that from then on. Yeah.
God, but that was, I could just imagine the way he said it. Oh, wow, great, guys, you go and do that. Well, that would have been, it would have been a lot less nicer than what he says. Yeah, he would have had a few expletives in there.
But I've also got to say, Gunman of the Apocalypse.
Gunman of the Apocalypse. Any time that we get to play versions of those characters, that episode is always palm.
That's true.
Because if you look at you look at Dwayne
Ace
Beatty,
Rimmer,
you look Ace Rimmer, you look at Gunman, they're the same characters in different guises, which is what's so weird about it.
There was a guy who came to the science today dressed as the Riviera Kid. Are you in? Are you in? No?
Yeah, the guy came as Riviera. Yeah. But again,
he shot you down bullets out of the air.
Yeah, that is. Line his level with lead. I mean, every classic cowboy line, wasn't it? Let's see if your shooting's as fancy as your dancing.
Oh, yeah.
You've always wanted to say lines like that.
Yeah.
You watch cowboy movies as a kid, right? So, mate,
that was a big
that was a big day for me, mate. When I got that, costume on, I couldn't believe it. When I walked out to my horse, he was grey and black as well. I was like, I got on the horse. Those guys weren't even ready for us, mate. Those guys were on the floor. I came cantering down the centre of the street. Rob and Doug were looking like this, going. I came hammering down there. Of course, I just rode the horse totally illegally because they've got stunt guys around. There's no stunt, and I'm just riding the horse down the town, just playing cowboys.
It was filmed in a sort of working
cowboy town. It was a place like, you go to Disneyland. Well, there's this place near Brands Hatch Racecourse where these people owned their little cowboy. So you'd have a blacksmith, and they'd be lawyers, and they'd go for the weekend and play cowboys. It was like that. It's a real town. They filmed many things there.
Yeah. Well, when we submitted the script, everybody said, "You can't. This is impossible." Because it's a sitcom, you're trying to make Alan Hawke's movie.
Everything they did was against every rule at the BBC.
And our agent went in to see Janet Street Porter. Who was sort of the head of BBC Two at the time. And she said, I can't really do the impression you know how to do it.
Oh, God.
The boys have gone too far this time.
The boys have gone too far this time.
It's impossible.
It's impossible.
And the agent said, that's interesting because they rapped yesterday.
Great.
Well, the premise of the Riviera Kid was if you took the cat and he goes, right, you're all going to be cowboys, what would the cat be? The Mexican. Why wouldn't he be the Mexican? He's the only one that wears jewelry. He's got jewelry on his pants, his shoes, his of course, and he's a Riviera Kid. The Mexicans are always laughing, aren't they? In the movies. Every line they do, they end it with a laugh. Hey, you stupid boy! Who doesn't want to play a Mexican? Hey, this is a job for the Riviera Kid. Dun 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 dun. You know that one, then? If it was a movie, after the dun 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 dun, they would have gone to a close-up of the eyes, Dun, dun. John Ford style.
Okay, we have a microphone question.
Hello. So I hope you're enjoying the visit in Prague. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
So I have two questions for Danny and something to share because my parents showed me the show when I was very young, and I really enjoyed it because of your character. Like it was very funny to me, even though I didn't understand like some of the jokes because I was too young. And then when
did you like cats?
It wasn't because I liked cats. It was because I liked the character. I actually
I'm just interested.
But then when I grew older, I kind of understood the other side of the character that is more the development. And I wanted to ask if you know how you sound in Czech voice acting, because it's very good.
Yeah. So the guy that does my voice in the Czech Republic, I know I've spoken to him by letter. He sent me a picture of himself. And there's always one in here. No, he actually sent me the photograph, but what it was someone from the Czech Republic said, oh, the guy that does your voice wanted you to have this, and it was a photograph, so obviously he wanted to show me what he looked like, and he said, thank you for my glory. No, I mean, what can I say? It was like, hey, so I pass on the baton. Thank you for my glory. You see? So I also, when I went to Japan, and the Japanese Red Dwarf fan said, he said, there goes, the Japanese actor who do your voice, a Red Dwarf, most expensive actor in Japan. Most expensive voice actor in Japan is the guy that does the cat's voice. They were like, the most expensive voice actor in Japan. In voice was Red Dwarf cat. So, thank you for my glory.
About doing diddly, because I can help myself. Well, is it really worst nightmare of the character, like becoming Dwayne Dibley forever?
Man, you know what? What's the brother out now? There's a guy on telly in England now. I've never seen him get that, but he's a comedian, and he looks like Dwayne Dibley. And his career is flourishing. He's got about 15 shows on the telly. What's his name? He does that stuff with. What's his name?
The IT crowd guy?
The guy that does Weakest Link now.
Oh, I don't know, I haven't kept up with
What's
that.
his name? That Asian guy. He's done everything. He's the new face. And then there's the guy who's got a rail of teeth like Stonehenge. And he looks like Dwayne Dibley. He's one of the most popular guys on the telly now. I should have done my career with the teeth in. I'd have about 3 gigs now.
Who knows? Maybe Dwayne Dibley
Rob,
will become a
Rob.
celebrity.
Rob! Oh, God. Rob something.
Maybe Rob or Ross.
Rob is nice. Rob or Ross. Yeah.
Who knows?
He's probably under a pool table in Liverpool somewhere.
Maybe we should get a show of just about.
Oh, Rob Beckett.
Rob Beckett. He's Dwayne Dibley.
He does have a lot of teeth.
He's got a mouthful of teeth. Right? And he's got about 15 shows on the telly.
Alright. Well, thank you.
And he ain't funny. Well, someone can do this.
Hello guys,
Hello.
see you in person, Rob and Danny.
Nice.
Wonderful. I have a question more for Rob, but maybe Danny can shed some light on it
Don't
as
let him
well.
I
talk
don't know
anymore.
what he thinks.
Yeah, so I'm not just a great fan of the show and novelization of the books, but I also very much enjoyed the Chris Berry audiobook on Audible, and it's actually recycled question which I already posed to the Chris last year on the Comic-Con. If there is any plan to continue the quadrilogy or series of the audio versions of the book with Chris Berry as the, like, when he's making the impression of the whole cast. And are there any plans to finish, because they are available now, the first book and the Better Than Life book as the audiobook version. Is there any plans to get Chris Berry back into the studio and finish them?
It's very difficult because Chris is very much in demand. And it's hard to get him out of his house.
Chris, yeah, Chris is a special guy. I mean it. And once he makes his mind up, you know, if he says he's going to come 10,000 miles to a con, he'll do it. You know, but he might not want to go 10 minutes up the road to have coffee in the shop. You know what I mean? That if he makes up his mind he's going to do something, he'll do it. And
A bit like Rowan Atkinson. Really.
yeah, and if he doesn't want to do it, you're not going to get a team of white horses to get him to change his mind.
But yeah, I think,
I mean, it would have to be, I think, a solid offer, and he would go yes or no, and then it would get done. But getting a solid offer would be a bit more of a chore.
well, I hope he reads tightly.
Well,
That'd be
he's
brilliant.
ready to go, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
And if anyone could do those young voices, it's him.
Thank you, my pleasure from hearing from you guys.
Nice one, mate.
We've got some more apt questions, like when did you realize that Red Dwarf became such a phenomenon?
Well, I was asked in the first series that, you know, what do you think, you know, of the show, and how do you think it's going to go, and all this and that, right? And I remember on the record saying, it's either going to be the biggest show ever or the biggest pile of poo ever. And my first one was right. No, but I was honest.
Took me a while to work that one.
I really did think that. I thought, look, you know, either they're going to get this or they're not. There's not going to be a middle ground. You're going to either be a Red Dwarf fan or you're not.
For me, it was kind of series 2. The first series got better figures.
Yes.
To be honest. But I started to hear a buzz about it in season 2, and people really like Queeg.
Oh God, that was amazing, wasn't it?
And it sort of turned them on to the series, and that's when the fan club started. And I thought, what, a fan club? What are you talking about? I was just doing my job.
It was like, what?
And they
getting letters. I'm like, what is going on?
And it slowly started.
Letters?
How did it? Yeah.
You know, I was getting letters to my agent, and then all of a sudden, I got a letter from Australia. I went, what? Australia? And then I found out that the second fan club was in Australia. There was one in England, then there was one in Ireland, and then there was one in Australia, and then one in America. I was like, this is bonkers. This is bonkers. Do you remember when we went to America? The guy from the fan club was there, Mark.
Yeah.
We was hanging out with the guy that ran the fan club in America, you know. This is madness.
Yeah, so it's slowly sort of, and then the real moment was the first Dimension Group, the first Red Wolf convention in Manchester. And I thought, 7 people in there.
Mate,
it was just
the hotel, you couldn't get a room in there, could you?
No.
It was unbelievable. Because you think, oh, you're on telly, you got, 8 million viewers, but you settle for that. But I'd never been in a show that had a life after telly.
No, because don't forget, in those days there was no VHS.
No.
There was no. The shows went on once, and then got repeated in the same week, and then they might just disappear.
You were lucky if you got
a third repeat. You really were.
Well, you were lucky if you got a second series in those days.
But you thought the work was kind of dispensable, really. It was like a newspaper. Well, and it was only when videos came out it started having a.
I mean, you think how many sitcoms a week on television in England today?
No.
4? There's not 4 sitcoms. You see, when we was doing sitcom in '87, there was 50 different sitcoms on during the week, like on all different channels. We had to survive among all these other. Some of these shows have been on for 4 or 5 years. Only Fools and Horses. We were up against incredibly popular, famous shows.
We were rehearsing, remember, in Acton. At the same time as Blackadder.
And the girl, Birds of the Feather.
Yeah. And so
big shows
with all the guys,
all these Blackadder, Robbie Coltrane, and all these guys. I mean, we were like, man, this is crazy. We're sitting among the gods of comedy here.
And listen to this, you'll love this. I said, I was talking to Rick Mail, from the Union. I said, Rick, we're really screwed here. We're like 5 minutes short on this show, and I can't think of a way to make it longer. He said, do a song at the start. So that's where Tom Tight came from.
Yeah, from Rick Mail, from the young ones, because that's the kind of crazy stuff they would have done. And then of course you go, well, of course, that's right. Yeah, naturally, let's just do it. It's done.
And it was Richard Curtis who advised us to number the series.
See what I mean? I mean, it's all the people that were around. I said they were big geniuses doing sitcoms, and they were legends all around us. So it was, in a way, we were under pressure to be very good, because when you went to lunch in the canteen, it was just full of famous people that you knew on television.
Ridiculous.
It was absolutely. Remember, I came up in the lift with Sir John Gielgud once, and it was like, you're trying hard not to disturb him.
I went up in the lift in Telly Centre, and I got in with this short guy with glasses, slightly balding. I thought, oh, I know you. And I said, hello. And he said, hello. It was Elton fucking John. I'd known from Adam, no.
It was mad. But you never know who you're going up in the lift with. It would just be a lottery of famous people.
But why were there just 6 episodes every year? Like you did an episode in a week.
Yeah.
There's 52 weeks in a year.
Yes, but in England.
Why only 6 episodes? I never understood
It's
this.
England.
Well,
It's England.
to be honest, I was at a do after Red Wolf was really pretty successful. I think it was after season 5, and a guy called Michael Jackson was the head of the...
Exactly.
He said, not really Michael Jackson.
Yeah, head of BBC Two.
And he came up to me and said, "Why aren't we doing Red Wolf every week?" And I said, "Commission me, commission me."
And then he probably went to his bosses and said, "No way, we do 6 here, love." Yeah, I mean, it was really frustrating because we're doing 6 and then you turn on some American show doing 25 a year. Friends was getting half the viewing figures on Channel 4 when we were getting 8 million, they were getting 4 million on Channel 4. They used to do 25 a year.
God, they'd kill for those figures now,
Can you
wouldn't they?
imagine? Top Gear never beat us.
Did it not?
Never beat us in the viewing figures. They just sold their show for £142 million. They never beat us in the viewing figures. It's just nuts.
I just now feel sick.
Amazon paid them 142 million.
Didn't know that.
Holy.
And do you know what? I wish I didn't know that.
No, if you go back and look at the viewing figures of Red Dwarf compared to Top Gear.
I think we have one last question at the microphone.
Oh, hi.
Hello, and thank you very much. Red Dwarf is and always was a very good source of good mood and positive energy.
There you go.
It always was our bad mood I have when I watch it. So thank you for that. And my question, 2 questions actually. What was your first impression, first 2 weeks of your colleague, co-workers? How did it's on after first or second day of working together? Is they change some opinion or did they are they new that they perfect fit?
So what you're saying is that did we have to change our characters?
No. Well, what was your relationship with the other workers in the very first day? And
Well, that's interesting because what happened was when we first got to do the show, we were rehearsing the show to record, but what happened, there was an electrician strike at the BBC. So we rehearsed, I think it was the first 3 episodes, but because we hadn't been able to film them, we just kept moving on to the next episode. By the time we got to episode 3, we'd already rehearsed 3 of them, and then we were stood down, and we were all like literally suicidal, because I'm thinking, my God, I've just got my first television, and now I've lost it, because they had to stop filming, because, you know, we just couldn't just keep rehearsing all the episodes, and then we had to be stood down, and I thought it had gone away. And then we got the message that, right, the electrician strike's over, let's go and film it. So by the time we got to film the actual show, we'd already spent a lot of time in the rehearsal room together. So you'd already worked out all your issues by then, you know, and then, so we were free then to just go without thinking about, learning each other's, we already had our rhythm by then.
Yeah, it was a very valuable...
It couldn't have been more valuable time. We were very lucky that happened, because it gave us another kind of like 2 months to actually, work the show and the actors to get, used to their characters and the other guys' characters.
We replaced one of the episodes.
And one of the episodes, because the original Kachansky, when we did the first rehearsals, we never got to film with her. And then by the time we were remounted, she'd already had a job booked. So that's when we had to
it was Amanda, wasn't it? From
Amanda. She was in Letter to Brezhnev with Alfred Molina. Yeah, and so she never got to play the part because of the strike. But she was very funny in rehearsals.
It was good, yeah.
That great scene with Rimmer, you know, the press scene, she was great in that. She would have been fantastic.
But I mean, Chloe's obviously good as well. But you know, when you see the creation happening in front of you, and you're thinking, like, I wonder what Mr. Chansky's going to be like. And then you see the scene of her and Rimmer, and you go, wow, that works. You know, you haven't seen it before. You haven't seen these two characters work together. You just read it on the paper, and then when you see the comedy start going with it, I mean, Chris Barry was just too funny. Even in that first rehearsal, you knew that this is going to be funny.
Thank you very much.
Did you have a second question?
Second question.
Yeah, it's you were made on a spaceship, the very same spaceship. How were you spend the rest of your days, and how were they your first 2 weeks?
Rob would have to write that. I don't know what I'd be doing.
I'd find a way to shag Crichton.
That's come on. Yeah, mine's not.
Eternity.
But he's got the groinal sockets, which causes all havoc on the ship.
Fully equipped.
He's equipped, and he's obedient.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is, and that's the thing about Red Dwarf. They would push that boundary on that gag. See, it's not a problem because we can always come back. You know what I mean? We can take the producers to that end of, Robbie, you're going to get me sent to jail. And then we can come back and say, no, Robbie, we weren't going to get you. You know, that's the good thing. You've got to go there first and give them a little bit of a scare.
Okay, so I have one boundary for you. The Czech boundary, because there was this like April Fool's joke, but I thought that we might turn this into actually developing a Czech Red Dwarf story. Já poprosím o obrázek. We have a picture for that. If the guys from the dwarf, this is what AI thinks it would look like if the guys from the dwarf would come to Czech Republic. And I thought that we might, think of a story for this.
That is really funny.
Like Lister would probably come
Chris Barry looks like the last man.
Lister would probably come for the beer.
I'd come for the dress.
Exactly.
If you look at his tie, it's like the one I wore in Tongue Tied.
It's Moravian, not tongue-tied. I would love to see that.
What's
Moravian.
the song? Moravian. What's that?
It's part of Czech Republic,
Right.
but they don't like to hear that. But it's
Moravia.
Moravia.
Oh,
yeah,
Moravia.
Moravia. It's where you used to go there for motorbikes, like Brno and Asia.
I've been to Hey, don't say Hey, I like Brno. I like Brno. Nobody's going to talk bad about Brno in here, man. Listen. Right? I'm very protective about Brno. You know the Brno circuit? Mm-hmm. Right. What's the name of the Czech rider that was whose father owns the circuit? Carol Abraham. Carol Abraham has been to my house in London. Yeah, how about that? Be careful what you say about Brno. If you ask him, last year, I brought him to the convention when I was last here, don't you remember? You didn't know that?
No.
When you interviewed me last time, he was with me here. His father owns the circuit.
It's a certain Brno.
I personally like Brno, okay? But it is a true story. And I'm going to show you the picture between.
With the Red Dwarf crew in Czech Republic after you've spent some time here?
Sorry?
Any idea, like, what can happen to the Red Dwarf? Why would they come to Czech Republic? What will they do here? Any ideas?
I I would definitely need a disco to go to in that outfit. Definitely.
Like, I thought that maybe Crichton will come because robots basically were invented here.
Yes.
As the word, like Rimmer can come for the
Robotic.
most well-developed bureaucracy system. Yeah, Lister for beer, and so Danny will come for the Brno. What am I looking at?
That's the Brno circuit. That's his father. That's my daughter that's over there. She was with me.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, so...
That's in the hotel in the middle of the circuit. Right. Don't talk about Brno when I'm here.
I do wish you stopped intimidating the audience.
Are you kidding me? Have you seen the size of those check bags? I'm just joking, guys.
So there will be no episode in Prague, only in Brno.
No, we're going to make it in Brno, that's right. We land in the middle of the circuit. Right? We land in the middle of the circuit during the F1 or MotoGP, and obviously the cat gets on his bike. Rimmer gets in his. What is in the foyer of the hotel in Brno, in the middle of the track, which Chris Barry would wet himself for? An E-Type Jaguar. You remember? Better than us.
He sold this.
Yeah. The first car Chris Berry ever had was an E-Type Jaguar. And we had one in the show, if you remember. The green one. British Racing Green. I drove Carol Abraham's dad's E-Type round the circuit. That's when you can walk up and down the stage like that. No, it's true. He did let me drive it round the circuit. As you were. It's on the record.
Okay, and absolutely last one, because you are the one who actually made the picture.
Yeah,
so
did you?
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
I don't have a question.
The next time I come, I'm going to wear that costume.
Yeah.
Not only that, I'm going to learn a Czech dance. A Moravian dance.
That's tomorrow.
You bring the costume, and I'll be Moravian here. The emphasis on rave. I already raved once today, right? With the DJ. Did you see it? There you go.
I don't have a question. I just wanted to say that I'm really happy that you liked the picture. And I'm really looking forward to Red in Czech Republic.
Great. Hey, listen.
Stories.
I want someone to show me what a Moravian dance looks like. Anyone can dance like a Moravian here? I'm just curious. Let's see, look, see. Where's all the nationalistic pride that's going on? Where is it? It's in Brno.
Okay, I would have like 10 more questions, like about the small off-duty Czechoslovakian traffic warden.
Oh no!
But
I didn't write it.
Thankfully, Rob has another panel tomorrow. Danny has another panel tomorrow.
Oh,
so there will be
days.
plenty of space to ask more questions. Thank you so much, guys, for coming and staying this late with us. And see you tomorrow again. That was Rob Grant. It's not Moravian, it's Prague. Well, actually, we call this cat's hats. Really? Yeah, I wanted to give you something special from Czech Republic. pave our road. So yeah, it's called a cat hat. We have one for each of you as a memory.
This would be in my possession.
It's incredible. I'm thinking we're going on a picnic.
Please take them home and don't throw them anywhere.
Listen, cat's eyes, I get it, right? Cat's hats? Cat in the hat.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Again.
Nice to meet you.